In a split second, Ms. Harper, the quiet history teacher with a hidden past, turned a humiliating locker room prank into a lesson no one would forget, breaking a bully's arm with a move so swift. It silenced the crowd before the laughter could start. What drove her to snap, and what secrets does she carry that made her capable of such a shocking act? Subscribe now to dive into this gripping tale of vengeance, redemption, and hidden strength. Hit that button and join the journey. In the small town of Willow Creek, Indiana, Willow High School stood as a microcosm of teenage dreams and dramas, its red brick walls holding secrets as old as the oak trees lining its courtyard. Ms. Emily Harper, the 32-year-old history teacher, was an enigma to her students. With her wire-rimmed glasses, neatly pressed blouses, and soft-spoken demeanor, she seemed like the kind of person who'd never raised her voice, let alone her fists. Her classes were a haven for the studious, a bore for the restless, and a target for the cruel. On a crisp October morning in 2025, the school buzzed with the usual chaos: lockers slamming, sneakers squeaking, and whispers weaving through the halls. But for Emily, this day would unravel everything she'd worked to keep hidden. Emily had arrived at Willow High 2 years prior, leaving behind a life she never spoke of. To her students, she was just the teacher who loved Revolutionary War trivia and always had a thermos of chamomile tea. To the faculty, she was reliable but distant, never lingering at staff happy hours. What no one knew was that Emily Harper wasn't her real name. She was born Alina Marquez, a woman who'd once lived a very different life, one of sweat-soaked gyms, underground fight clubs, and a past she'd buried under layers of reinvention. She'd moved to Willow Creek to escape that world, to start fresh as a teacher, to be someone new. But the past has a way of catching up, especially when pushed. The trouble began with Jake Tanner, senior with a linebacker's build and a smirk that could curdle milk. Jake was the king of Willow High's social hierarchy, his charm masking a mean streak that thrived on power. He'd targeted Emily early in the semester, sensing her quiet nature as weakness. During her lectures, fake coughs that sounded like insults. By mid-October, Jake's pranks escalated. He'd leave thumbtacks on her chair, swap her whiteboard markers for dry ones, and rally his clique to disrupt her lessons. Emily endured it with a tight smile, her calm exterior hiding the storm brewing inside. She'd dealt with worse than Jake in her old life, but she'd promised herself she'd never go back to that version of herself. Not here. Not now. That Monday, Jake hatched his boldest plan yet. The locker room, adjacent to the gym, was a no-man's land for teachers, a place where students ruled and faculty rarely ventured. Jake and his crew, 3 loyal lackeys named Kyle, Derek, and Mia, decided to humiliate Ms. Harper in front of an audience. The plan was simple. During the lunch period, when the locker room was packed with students changing for gym, they'd lure Emily in under the pretense of a student needing help. Mia, the only girl in the group, would fake a crisis, something about a lost item or a fight. When Emily arrived, Jake Dearn, in front of everyone, Emily was grading papers in her classroom when Mia burst in, her face flushed with crocodile tears. "Ms. Harper, you have to come quick. There's a fight in the locker room and I think someone's hurt." Emily's instincts kicked in, not the teachers, but the fighters. Something felt off, but she couldn't ignore a cry for help. She grabbed her sweater and followed Mia, her sensible flats clicking down the hall. The locker room smelled of sweat and cheap body spray, the air thick with the chatter of students. As Emily stepped inside, she saw Jake leaning against a locker, his grin too wide, his eyes gleaming with malice. The crowd parted, sensing something was about to happen. "Ms. Harper," Jake drawled. "You look lost? Need help finding your way?" The room erupted in snickers. Emily's eyes scanned the scene: Kyle and Derek flanking Jake, Mia smirking by the benches, a dozen other students watching like vultures. Jake stepped closer, holding a water bottle filled with something suspiciously murky. Before she could react, he splashed it across her blouse, the liquid soaking through, turning the white fabric transparent. The crowd gasped, then laughed as Jake grabbed the hem of her shirt and yanked, tearing it with a sickening rip. The sound echoed, and for a moment, time froze. Emily stood there, her bra exposed, her dignity stripped in front of 30 teenagers. The laughter swelled, a cruel chorus. Asterisk, but then something shifted. Emily's face didn't crumple. Her eyes didn't fill with tears. Instead, they hardened, a glint of steel flashing through her usual softness. Jake, still holding the torn fabric, didn't see it coming. Emily's hand shot out, grabbing his wrist in a grip so tight his smirk vanished. In one fluid motion, she twisted his arm behind his back, using his own momentum against him. The crack of bone was louder than the laughter had been. Jake screamed, collapsing to his knees, his right arm limp and useless. The room went silent, the air sucked out of it. Kyle and Derek froze, Mia's jaw dropped, and the crowd stood stunned. Emily released Jake, stepping back. Her torn shirt hanging loosely, but her posture unyielding. Asterisk, get him to the nurse, she said, her voice low but commanding. Now, the students scrambled, 2 of them helping a whimpering Jake to his feet. Emily turned and walked out, her head high, ignoring the whispers that followed. By the time she reached her classroom, the story was already spreading like wildfire. Ms. Harper had broken Jake Tanner's arm. The quiet teacher had snapped, and no one knew what to make of it. Asterisk, the aftermath was chaos. Principal Whitaker, a balding man with a penchant for avoiding conflict, called Emily into his office within the hour. Ms. Harper, what on earth happened? You can't just break a student's arm. Emily sat calmly, her sweater now covering her torn blouse. He assaulted me, Principal Whitaker. I defended myself. The principal sputtered, torn between protocol and the reality that Jake's prank had crossed a line. There'll be an investigation, he said. You're suspended with pay until we sort this out. Emily nodded, expecting as much. She left his office, her mind racing not with fear, but with the realization that her carefully constructed life was unraveling. Asterisk, back at her small apartment, Emily sat on her couch, staring at a photo she kept hidden in a drawer, a younger version of herself, bruised but grinning, standing in a boxing ring. She'd been Alina Marquez then, a rising star in Miami's underground fight scene. She'd fought for money, for respect, for survival. Until a bad fight left her with a concussion and a choice: keep fighting and risk her life, or walk away. She'd chosen to walk, changing her name, earning a teaching degree, and moving to Willow Creek to escape the violence. But violence, it seemed, had followed her. Asterisk, the school's investigation became a town spectacle. Jake's parents, wealthy and connected, demanded Emily's termination, claiming she'd overreacted. Students took sides, some called her a hero, others a psycho. Social media exploded with hashtags, hashtag Ms. Harper snaps, hashtag justice for Jake. Emily stayed silent, knowing the truth would only complicate things. But the truth had a way of surfacing. A student, Sarah Nguyen, a quiet junior who'd been in the locker room, uploaded a video to X. It showed the entire incident, Jake's taunts, the splash, the shirt rip, and Emily's swift response. The video went viral, shifting public opinion. People saw Jake's cruelty, Emily's restraint, and the moment she'd had enough. Comments flooded in. She didn't just defend herself, she owned him. Ms. Harper's a badass. Asterisk. But the video also caught the attention of someone from Emily's past. Marcus Reed, her old fight promoter, saw the clip and recognized her immediately. Lena Marquez, he muttered, watching the footage in his Miami office. Still got it, Marquez. Had never forgiven her for leaving the fight scene, costing him his best fighter. Now he saw an opportunity. He sent a message to her old burner phone, one she thought she'd ditched years ago. Saw you on the news, champ. Time to come home. We've got unfinished business. Asterisk M. Emily's heart sank when she saw the text. She'd worked too hard to let Marcus drag her back, but the message was a reminder. Her past wasn't just a memory, it was a threat. She ignored it, focusing instead on the school's hearing set. For the following week, she hired a lawyer, a sharp woman named Carla, who specialized in self-defense cases. Carla dug into Jake's history, uncovering a pattern of bullying complaints from other students, hushed up by his parents' influence. The video, combined with witness statements from Sarah and others, painted a clear picture. Jake had provoked Emily, and her response, while extreme, was legally defensible. Asterisk, the hearing was a circus. Jake, his arm in a cast, played the victim, his mother sobbing dramatically for the local news cameras. Emily sat stoic, her lawyer dismantling the Tanner family's narrative. The board ruled in her favor, self-defense. No charges, reinstatement offered, but Emily hesitated. The town knew her now, not as Ms. Harper, but as the teacher who could break bones. Students looked at her differently, some with awe, others with fear. She wasn't sure she could go back. Asterisk, then came the twist no one saw coming. Sarah, the student who'd posted the video, approached Emily after the hearing. "Ms. Harper, I need to tell you something. My brother, he's in trouble." Sarah's older brother, Liam, had gotten mixed up with a local fight club. One Marcus Reed had recently expanded into Indiana. Liam owed money, and Marcus was using him as leverage to get to Emily. "If you don't fight one last time," Sarah said, tears in her eyes, "they'll hurt him." Emily's stomach churned. Marcus wasn't just chasing her. He was manipulating the people around her. Asterisk, Emily faced a choice: run again or confront the past she'd tried to bury. She chose to fight not for Marcus, but for Liam, for Sarah, for herself. She contacted Marcus, agreeing to one fight, but on her terms. A public event, sanctioned, no dirty tricks. Marcus, greedy for the publicity, agreed. The fight was set. For a warehouse outside Indianapolis, billed as a charity event to mask its true nature. Emily trained in secret, her muscles remembering moves her mind had tried to forget. She told no one at school, not even Carla, knowing the risk to her job, her life. Asterisk, the night of the fight, the warehouse was packed. Locals, fight fans, even some Willow High students who'd caught wind of it. Emily stepped into the ring. No longer Ms. Harper, but Alina Marquez, her old fight name whispered in the crowd. Her opponent was a brute named Vargas, a fighter Marcus had hired to break her. The bell rang, and Vargas came at her like a freight train. Emily dodged, her reflexes sharp despite years away. The crowd roared as she landed precise strikes, her training flooding back. But Vargas was relentless, and in the second round, he caught her with a hook that sent her to the mat. The world spun, memories of her last fight, flashing blood, pain, the fear she'd never wake up. Asterisk, get up, Alina. Sarah's voice cut through the haze. Emily saw her in the crowd, Liam beside her, his face bruised but alive. She rose, fueled by something deeper than adrenaline. In a blur, she countered Vargas, locking his arm in a hold she'd perfected years ago. He tapped out, the crowd erupting. Marcus, watching from the sidelines, vanished into the night, his plan ruined. Emily had one, but more importantly, she'd freed Liam and sent a message. She wasn't his pawn anymore. Asterisk, back in Willow Creek, Emily faced the fallout. The fight had been streamed online, exposing her past to the town. Some parents demanded her resignation, calling her a danger. Others, including Sarah's family, rallied behind her, praising her courage. Principal Whitaker offered her job back, but Emily declined. "I'm not who I was," she told him. "I need to figure out who I am now." She left Willow High not as a disgraced teacher, but as a woman who'd faced her demons and won. Asterisk, Emily moved to a new town, this time under her real name, Alina Marquez. She opened a small self-defense studio teaching kids, especially girls, how to stand up for themselves without losing who they are. The studio became a local legend, a place where strength was more than physical. Every so often, she'd get a message from a former student, like Sarah, who was now thriving in college. Jake, humbled by his injury and the public backlash, faded into obscurity, his bullying days over. Asterisk, Alina never fought in a ring again. But she carried the fighter's spirit in her heart. She'd learned that running from the past only delays. The fight ends sometimes. The only way out is through. What a journey that was. Where are you watching this story from? Drop a comment below and let us know which part of the country you're in. New York, California, Texas, or somewhere else. Your support keeps these stories coming, so hit that subscribe button if you haven't already.